¿Qué pasa, my mystics? How you going? I just finished watching the recent UFO hearing, and wow, I'm completely blown away. It was everything that I was hoping to expect, and some, and a little bit more. So we had, first of all, David Fravor, Ryan Graves, and David Grush. And right off the bat, I just want to say these gentlemen didn't only just show courage, they will go down in history as true heroes for having the cojones to step up and speak their truths. Throughout the presser, and we've heard it on News Nation's interview with David Grush and Ross Coulthart, that they've been threatened. Especially David Grush has been threatened. He's been intimidated personally. He's known of personal, friends on the inside who have been threatened. So to go in front of Congress and stand up for what he believes to be true, in light that if he is lying, he goes straight to jail. So, to put his honor on the line and his truth on the line, on the public record is huge. It's huge, and what has just occurred in the last week has been historic, and it'll go down in history as one of the most important hearings ever. But this is just the beginning. It's not full disclosure. I believe it's disclosure with a small d. But the big one's coming, and this is just the beginning. More whistleblowers will be coming out, especially, hopefully especially David Grush will be treated well. I know others, without naming names, in the UFO community think that it's all gonna go badly bit by bit, and they're gonna tear him apart bit by bit. But I'm very hopeful. I think there's a lot of white hats working in the background, and we're going to get there. And David Grush is a true hero in all this. This is historical. Some of the representatives I'd like to mention is Tim Burchett, Representative Miss Mace, who had some real, she was just boom, 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 and I'll get to the rundown of the questions and answers asked, and Representative Luna, with all the other representatives that were there, and told their piece. I could see that George Knapp was in the background. Jeremy Corbell was there as well. So, and I know they had a big hand in what happened throughout the hearing in the background. So thank you to those people. So some of the main takeaways from the hearing. There were a lot of testimony and questions about UFO reporting. It seems that the majority of pilots, both commercial and military, are afraid to come forward. This was a big point that was made clear on the day, to report the sightings. Ryan Graves testified under oath that only 5% of pilots report sightings. 95% of sightings go unreported, in the fear of they're going to lose, credibility. Their careers are going to be jeopardized. So these were the reasons given. Another point was David Grush testified under oath that non-human crafts have been recovered, and that non-human bodies were on board these crafts. So that is a bombshell. It's one thing to do it on, News Nation's live TV, but to do it in Congress under oath, that is now in the public record. And just that statement alone should be on the front cover of every major mainstream media, newspaper, online article, on TV, everywhere. If the mainstream, I've said this before, if the mainstream media treated the UFO subject and what's just happened in the last week, or the last couple of months, if they treated it like they treated COVID, with every article just COVID, 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 you know, for 2 years, we would have disclosure within a couple of months. This year would be the year of disclosure. They really, like I've seen, you know, CNN, NBC, you know, they're starting to come out, but they need to really jump on it and do their jobs as journalists. So that there are people in the spiritual community that I personally know, in the UFO community, have no idea what's happened, you know, in the last couple of months with David Grush. They've got no idea. So the mainstream media need to step up, and it's time to get on the right side of history, as I said in my last video. David Grush also stated in the public record under oath that he knows personally the locations of where the crafts are and the bodies are being stored, and would reveal specifics in a closed setting. So I think it was Ms. Mace, yes, Representative Mace. Again, as I said before, she was just rapid fire. She knew her stuff. Very, very informed about the UFO topic. They called them throughout the press, and they've been doing this in the last couple of years. They've gone from UFO to UAP to try and get rid of the stigma. But we all know UFOs, we're just going to call it a spade. And that's how we've always known it, UFOs. Stigma or no stigma. So that was a huge, another big bombshell. But it seemed that every time David Grush would say, I can't speak, when a specific question was asked to David Grush, and he would say, I can't speak on that topic right now, but in a closed setting, I can give you that information. Without saying yes, he would say, I would give it to you I would give you that information and close that. That was his way of saying yes. He didn't say no, because he's under oath, and you have to tell the truth. Otherwise, you know, some bad things are going to go down. So he never said no. He just said that I'd be willing to give you that information in closed settings. So that's his way of saying yes. So when Miss Mace asked, where are the crafts and the non-human bodies being stored, he said, I would give it to you in a closed settings. So that's his way of saying, yes, I know where the locations are, and I'll be happy to give that information to you in the closed settings after this hearing. Again, mainstream media need to get onto this, not just pick up the insignificant details of what happened in this 2-hour hearing. These main points need to be addressed. There are a craft that is not originated from this earth, and there are biological bodies that are non-human. Whether that be, who knows? And I'll get to that other point later about going back to Grush, because Grush is the one that's really come out with the huge bombshells throughout all this, and you could see that in the hearing. Okay, so we'll get to that later. But David Fravor testified under oath that he encountered UFO crafts both both visually and on radar systems that defied the laws of our known physics, maneuvering in waves that would crush a human flying at those high speeds. So meaning that if a biological human were inside of these vehicles, traveling at those high speeds, they would be completely crushed. Our bodies wouldn't be able to handle those forces. And performing maneuvers like flying at an altitude of 80,000 feet, then dropping to sea level. So 80,000 feet, dropping to sea level within seconds. How is that not on... Again, that should be on the front page of every single mainstream media. Oh, wow. And that's another thing, I got to give credit to Dr. Stephen Greer, with his documentaries that have come out a few years ago, that outlining that whatever is the energy that is moving these crafts, it's not petroleum. Maybe that's why it's being kept secret, because they want this technology, and they want to market it in a way where they can make a lot of money. But if it's free energy, if whatever is moving these crafts is free energy, let the world have it. Let's advance our civilization. Let's take us to the next level. Why do we spend trillions and trillions of dollars on a fuel system that is irrelevant, really, when these things are traveling at these sort of speeds and we have that technology? Okay. Anyway, Ryan Graves testified. Another major point. That this was actually a huge one. This was a massive one. I thought. I've never heard it before, and a lot of people in the UFO community haven't heard it before. So Ryan Graves testified that during a military operation, officials from Boeing were there as well, apparently. They encountered a UFO craft the size of a football field. It was glowing red in color, circular, 100 feet. So that's pretty much the size of a football field. Where are these things being made? The size... If anyone doesn't play football, soccer, whatever we want to call it, I'm going to call it football because I know it is football, but other people call it soccer around the world. If you haven't been on a football field, or if you haven't been in a stadium, then I have. I've been a few times, and it's... The things you could fit inside of that craft is huge, and this is not even considered a mothership. There's been talk of motherships being miles and miles long, out there in the outer orbits of our solar system, that are stationed, that house these football-sized field and even smaller craft and UFO drones and these sort of things. Where are these ships made? What is the energy source that is keeping these ships traveling and moving and going and staying still for who knows how long? That was a big one. A football-sized field. A football field size ship that was observed. Another point, Mr. Grush, although didn't answer the question directly, as I said before, he would say if the answer was yes, he would say I'll speak in a closed setting. Alluded to the fact that people have been murdered to keep the UFO secret and under wraps. That's a huge one. And God bless those the people that wanted to come forward or tried to come forward, even did come forward, and bad things happened to them. So justice will be coming there as well. Furthermore, Mr. Grush stated that he and his family have been threatened, and he's been in fear of his own life being taken for the courage that he has shown to come forward and speak his truth. So again, Mr. Grush, you are a hero if you're listening to this. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. All three witnesses stated that if there was a conflict between the UFOs observed throughout their time serving and our own human military capabilities, that our defense systems would not stand a chance against what was being observed. So if they were hostile in any, I'm not saying that no non-human intelligences they're all, earth-loving, human-loving, universal-loving creatures. I'm not saying that, but it shows that the majority of cases, nothing terrible has happened, thus far, or that we've heard about. And this is another important reason why we need disclosure, to find out what is really going on. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in the middle? Is it both? Is it more than we can even comprehend in our human mind? It's all going to come out. Another point. Mr. Grush testified that investigations and knowledge of UFOs by the US government and the military-industrial complex have gone back all the way, to his knowledge, to the 1930s. To his knowledge, to the 1930s. Mr. Grush testified that he does not like to refer to the intelligent beings, non-human intelligences, as specifically ET extraterrestrials. He likes to refer them as non-human intelligences, leaving his mind open to the possibility that there could be other intelligences involved, and interdimensional beings were spoken by Mr. Grush in the hearings. So not only that these beings are coming from other planets or other places within our own universe or universes, but they're also coming from other dimensions. The great late Bob Dean spoke about this years and years ago. One of my, probably the number one hero of mine within the UFO field. If you don't know who Bob Dean is, Command Sergeant Major Bob Dean, go look him up, and his contribution to ufology and the spiritual community is second to none. I'm honored to be a part of history, being alive alongside a great hero like that. Bless you, Bob Dean, if you're listening from the other side. I wish I got to meet you and share a nice whiskey and a cigar with you. So these were the main points that were covered in the hearing. So I've written down why is this subject important, and why should it be treated with respect, not only in the not only in the political world, but in every single sector of the human race, we should be respecting this subject. And this is why I've written down to share my own thoughts. Throughout the hearing, there was a lot of talk about national security and the right of the American people, not only the need to know the truth, but a right to know the truth. The UFO subject and non-human intelligences, although plays a small part of national security, these issues go beyond any one country. Like the great late Command Sergeant Major Bob Dean stated, this story goes to the roots of who we are as a human race. Of who we are as a human race and where we have come from. There is not one human being that has ever lived that has not once looked up at the stars and asked themselves these fundamental important questions. The UFO subject is a gateway, a portal into the beautiful, magical and mysterious unknown realms of our place in this infinite abundance of life in our universe and beyond. There will come a day when we as a collective human family will stand face to face with these non-human intelligences. When that day comes, how we present ourselves, when that day comes, how we present ourselves and how we choose to use our courage over fear will be our first steps towards finally knowing ourselves. There will be no more room for theories. We will all together stand in front of truth, the great divine, in a newfound hope. The time of lies, deception, and cover-ups are over. Now is the time for us to take our rightful place in this infinite community of life in our beautiful universe. This means we grow up and end the consciousness of war and evil. This means the journalists report on the UFO topic. They approach the subject with respect and honor instead of jokes and ridicule. Lastly, I would like to give my respects to the UFO community at large and to the leaders in this community who have pushed this important topic in human history, the most important topic in human history, to the forefront. Not only am I reaching out here to the UFO community, but also to the spiritual community, because as I said before, this is once you get past the mechanics of the UFO mystery with the crafts and all that, you start entering a spiritual realm, and entering the realm of spirit and soul and our place, not only in this physical realm, but what happens after our physical realm passes and we enter that spiritual infinite realm. And I believe it is all connected. So thank you to Bob Dean. Thank you, Dolores Cannon, Stephen Bassett, Michael Glickman, Dr. Roger Lear, Project Camelot, Jimmy Church, Christina Gomez, Mary Rodwell, Georgios Tsoukalos, and everyone at Ancient Aliens. Clifford Stone, David Grush, Linda Moulton Howe, Clifford Mahuti, Eric Von Daniken, Zachariah Sinchin, Stephen Greer, Art Bell, Philip J. Corso, Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team, Richard Dolan, Bud Hopkins, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, John Mack, Jim Mars, Whitley Strieber, Jacques Vallée, Nick Pope, Stanton Freeman, Bob Lazar, Giordano Bruno, Psychic Evolution, Maggie and Jamie Clark. All of the artists in the Renaissance era, in antiquity, and in ancient times who drew what they encountered and stories of UFOs and these non-human intelligences. And finally, to all the native tribes and cultures from around the world, to the Zunis, to the Native Americans, ancient Indians, Aboriginals, South Americans and the Aztecs, to the North European tribes, to the ancient Sumerians. Thank you to all our ancestors for keeping the oral history and stories alive of these who some have called the Watchers, the Custodians, the Cosmic Family, the Ancient Ones, the Star People, the Star Gods, and ancient astronauts. We are about to relearn that we have come from the stars, and to the stars we will return. Bless you all. What an incredible time to be alive, guys, and I'm honored to be part of this human family in this time of history. This is just the beginning. I believe more whistleblowers will come along, and we're going to get to, once disclosure happens, the formal acknowledgement that we are not alone and we have never been alone, then we can get into the more deeper theories of have these intelligences had a hand in our being here. In my last video, I outlined some of those deeper questions, and some of those questions were actually asked in Congress for the 3 witnesses. So I think in my next video, I'm going to keep going with these deeper questions, and I'll ask and I'll put forward questions for what will happen after disclosure occurs. And these questions will be to the non-human intelligences that have been here, even before even our Earth was even here. Before our Earth was formed, before our universe was formed. I think there are some beings that have come here before universes were formed. We're talking with ancient spiritual beings that really care for us and want us to make it and want us to enter their world. My next video will be addressing these beautiful beings. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one, Mystics. Big salute. Ciao.